Good evening, all. Ira Epstein of Linn Associates with your financial market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for Wednesday, the 26th of April, 2021, just after now 7 p.m. or getting right on to 7 p.m. That is daylight savings time. I want to remind you about tomorrow. There's an event that's going to take place, and that's What's Up? And what this is it's something new, but it's really all about you asking questions about the markets. And that's what I want it to be, about the markets. You got a question on what, for example, gold looks like. You want to know about bonds, whatever it is. We bring up a chart, we discuss it together, see what we can come up. I really don't want to be diving into what I taught in my Enhanced Bollinger Band course or other areas. I want this to be just what I'm saying it is, and it's going to be what's up. Maybe we'll get some markets up, maybe we won't. How you get into it, and it starts at, I'm going to open it up at about 12:15, 12:20 for you to get in. Write the questions you want of me. That's going to be very, very important. You click this link. If you haven't received my email to sign up, click here. It'll take you right to the sign-up area that you need, and away you go. This will not be posted on the website. I'm going to make these where you either attend them or you miss them. It's really going to be that simple, and I know you'll come up with all the excuses why you can't attend, and I get it. But they're going to be on different days of the week. I'm even asking in a questionnaire at the end, what's the best time you want it? Some people might want to see a few of them 6, 7 o'clock at night. You know, I can accommodate. You'll find I bend over to accommodate my clientele. So that's what we'll try to get done. So now in the markets, we've got to get ready that we're going to be losing all the Junes of everything. All right, we're already May 26th. As we get into the first part of the month, they'll trade some of these markets that are cash delivered one way, but when you get to gold, it's time to be considering getting out of the June gold and moving over to the August. So I brought that on. It's time to be moving over to the June Bitcoin. You don't get delivery of Bitcoin, obviously, but the open interest will start to move there, and it's something that I think that you should be doing. And sooner rather than later, we're going to want to get away from the July grains and probably be moving into the new crop. So different things going on at different times. In the S&P, we are up right now 0.97 for the week, not at a new high. Hanging in there is the best that I could say. You know what's going on in the stock market? It's rotation. You're going to see that in these different markets right now. The Russell came alive the past week. We stalled out in a number of other markets. The NASDAQ with the fangs jumped a bit too. As for what you're doing in the S&P, you are just stuck here in this sideways action, still caught between this peak and this valley that I've shown you repeatedly, and you haven't come out of them. Is the trend up? Oh, yes, it is. You've got a pattern of higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. Is the market staying over the 18-day average of closes? You betcha. Until the market takes out this low right here, and we can come right back to this day's low of 41.42.5. You have a pattern of higher lows, higher highs, and I would expect support around the 41.58 level to get supported by the pros, but that's a heck of a risk. It's still going to be in the neighborhood of $800-900 risk. In the Bollinger Band part of the market, I think you'd agree, we've gone very much sideways. We had narrowed in the band, and instead of, you had a head fake. You tried to go to the upside, then it looked like a downside breakout. Remember when they were talking all the inflation? That lasted 48 hours, and then you got right back into the bands and you haven't come out. There's been a lot of head fakes with the word inflation as traders are trying to figure out transitory, what's the Fed going to do? I can tell you right now, the Fed ain't going to do anything. You can talk about it all you want. They're not going to even get into serious discussions about talking about tapering. They'll bring it up. They're putting it out there. They're warming the public up that that's it. But they need to get strong jobs data. They need to see employment hit all the right ranks. They have to see it move through the Latino, the black communities. It goes on and on. They have a lot to be watching. So I'm different than I'm watching so many of the analysts out there. I don't think the Fed's going to move right away, but I think the market will move. There's a big difference. So you can keep the Fed one way, but the market moves a very different way. That's what you got to keep your eye on. Right now, this market, though, still in an uptrend, as I said. Resistance, the upper Bollinger Band in the S&P at 4236.75, let's call it. But you're overbought. So you have an overbought market in an uptrend that's been unable for the past 2 weeks or so to get back to the upper Bollinger Band. Looks to me like it might be easier to get back to that 18-day average than up there. As I said, the NASDAQ played a different game. First off, if you look at the skid marks on the 18-day average, came down and it's trying to arc away from going under the 100-day average. That's a bullish development. The second thing I look at is the market's wasted a lot of strength getting back up here as it's already overbought and nowhere near getting both of the blue and the red to go sideways like they did here, where you get continued up moves because you embed. You change from overbought to locking in an uptrend. Hasn't done that yet. Could the market reach up for the upper Bollinger Band? Of course it could, but I don't think it's got the power to do much more than that at this point. And it wouldn't surprise me to pull back at any point to the 18-day average of closes. When we come to the Russell is stuck in these Bollinger Bands, and you may disagree with me, but again, you got up, you couldn't go anywhere. You had that 48-hour period where you got under prices here and came snorkeling right back, haven't gotten out of that since. You're coming up, but like so many of the indices, you've wasted a lot of buying power, and you haven't even been able to get up to the upper Bollinger Band. I think these markets, if they got there, would suddenly be out of breath. They'd be exhausted. That's what I expect could be in the marketplace. In the VIX, working with my team, we're trying to get the VIX futures now to come into our charts too. Just don't have a lot of call for it, but I had one person, and I said, you know, we could do that. And I could then show more than the cash, but I still think if the market got down to 1521 or wherever the Bollinger Band is, you would see the professional writing puts, trying to get the best price for a call back to the, for a move back to the 18-day average. By saying call, and I'll get you confused with a put and a call, but what I mean is they'll try to figure the math what happens if the market gets back there and try to figure out where their deltas and gammas are. It'll be close to the market because it's going to be a short-lived trade. You want it to happen fairly quick. In the T-bond markets, just like the stock indices, you're just bouncing in Bollinger Bands. You're really not doing anything. This market's marking time. This whole thing is either a broad bottom or a top. Obviously, many traders think and many analysts think this is going to be looked back 6 months from now that this was a top and the market's going to be seeing higher interest rates into the end of the year. We haven't seen that yet. With the summer coming upon us, don't know. The data we're going to get, well, as you know, in the U.S., we're getting better and better in terms of everything that is going on in COVID. We know that there's an infrastructure play on the table. For the first time today, the Republicans mentioned the unused money in COVID. Remember, I've said it to you every day. Why isn't somebody doing this? I feel like that Workday ad. Workday, Workday. Oh, unmute yourself. Somebody listened. Why not use those funds? You can start narrowing in things if you can get that done. That's just bringing something up. It's so logical. Of course, logic doesn't work with a politician. Lower low, higher highs, not much going on there. Same thing going on right here, stuck in that sideways action. First challenge of an upper Bollinger Band. In unison, what do the pros do? You got it. That's exactly what they do. You better have said, come out. In the dollar index, so we're opening steady, but I don't like what I'm seeing. The market had an embedded reading right through all this, and I want you to understand this market was yesterday at 89.62, so you went up 38 points. You lost the embedded reading and you're keeping it lost. Game over. You'd have to re-embed and come down hard for tomorrow. I think the market's going to find it easier to go to the 18-day average and restart whatever the next level is. So that is a trade that I think short should probably be scooting on that type of trade. In the euro, you could have embedded right through here. Today was the day that decided it, and it didn't. It lost it, and as you can see tonight, it's staying lost. So I don't expect that it's going to do that. The same thing happened in the Swiss franc. You're losing the embedded reading in the British pound. So we're starting to get a story where the dollar wants to climb up right here. Generally, that dollar going up doesn't mean it's real helpful to the stock indices because it's often accompanied by bonds starting to tick higher, although I haven't seen that yet today. Bitcoin. I am lost as to why traders are trying to tie Bitcoin as a lead indicator for the stock market. You do understand sometimes a sewer cover price will correlate with something going on. Does that really mean there's a relationship? I doubt it. The whole world is getting enamored with these cryptos. I saw Carl Icahn. Now, come on. This is a big-time person. And he's looking to enter the crypto space. I started blinking my eyes. That's what I'm doing. Wow. But I'm not buying that they're all tied together. Maybe over time you'll prove something to me. I don't think I'm in that camp. But you're very oversold. I can see the reason for a bounce, but I'm not seeing much more than that. This is not a bullish chart. Even if you get up over that, you've got a lot of resistance waiting for you right up here. This is not a bullish chart. It can become one over time, but it isn't at this point in time. This differential between August and WTI crude, well, the two are still, as you can see, hanging around here in this 270, 280 level. We have the OPEC meeting coming up next week. We're already hearing Mr. Nowak of Russia saying, he's Deputy Prime Minister, I believe, and he is saying that he thinks that the world deficit needs another 1 billion barrels a day. It's Russia's way of saying we'd like to produce more oil. I don't know what will happen with that. When you take a look at this, you're caught in this Bollinger Band sideways action. This whole thing is just sideways action. Again, not going anywhere. Same in this one. You'd be wise to stay away from these moves. It makes you do the wrong thing. It's making you buy the deep break under everything, hoping for the bounce. That doesn't last a long time. This is what happens. You get into trends. So you do what you want. Gasoline market. I am certainly bullish for the summer, but I don't have the setup. So just because I think something doesn't mean it has to happen. So you put it all together, you try to come up with a game plan, and that's basically what I'm looking at right here. And we'll talk about it tomorrow in our live webinar. I hope to see you. Sign-in time will be around 12:15 p.m. Once the seats are taken, you're just knocked out. You won't be able to get into them. Bring the symbols you want me to cover. I admit I don't know every symbol of everything. So bring them. Bring the ones that we use here, not the ones on one of your systems, because I may not know what it is, all right? But in commodities, I know most of them. You have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.